Hi everybody, it's Katie once again and welcome to the Rise podcast. This is a place where I get to talk to some truly phenomenal and inspirational women to give us all a boost and to help us push forward in our own lives. And today I am joined by just one of those women. She is incredible. I know that you're going to love her as much as I do, and her name is Vicky Crone. Vicky, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. Vicky and I have been a bit of a journey together to get this recorded. We've had tech difficulties, and it's been a whole thing. But we're here and we're doing it, and we're totally committed to getting this done.
Yes.
So let's dive right in and let's just introduce you to everybody so that people can know who you are. So tell me all about Vicky and what do you do in the world?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, thank you for having me. I'm really excited. This is my first podcast experience, although we have done a couple of runs already. So it's all practice.
Absolutely.
So I am, first and foremost, I'm a mother to 3 children, one of which has Asperger's syndrome. So it's all fun and games here. I'm also wife to one, and my husband and I own a sexual wellness store. So we sell pleasure products and we're all about pleasure. I'm also a domestic abuse survivor, although you will often hear me saying that I hate the word survivor. Yeah. And I love coffee and crisps.
I told you, I knew there was a reason that I love you. I mean, literally, coffee is life. I say it to the children all the time. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one. So tell me more about what you do and why are you so passionate about it? What is it you love about the work that you do?
Okay, so my passion comes really from my experience with domestic abuse, and I have a real opportunity right now because lots of women come out the other side of it and it's still not safe enough for them to speak of their experiences. And the only way that the world is going to learn about them experiences is if we do speak about those. So I'm in a wonderful position now where it is safe for me to do so, and I'm going to like shout about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it really comes from my life experiences, what I've experienced as a woman, not just in that situation. I mean, in the world, in the society that we live in. My experiences as a woman. I have 2 daughters, so I'm very passionate about changing it, ready for them to go out into the big wide world. And yeah, passion.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that one. You know, I have 3 children myself, one of which is a girl, and I think having a daughter just changes everything, really. I think you become hyper aware of what it means to be a woman in this world, more than perhaps you did before, because you see the dangers of that to some degree because of what you've experienced yourself. And it's really hard, I think, to let them have full freedoms, perhaps, because you're so aware of the dangers out there, really.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Not easy, but you know, all we can do is kind of guide the ship as best as we can, I suppose.
Yeah.
So in that kind of vein, so if that is your biggest kind of passion and the driving force behind what you do, so are there any challenges that you're facing with that work right now?
Yes, I'm faced with a massive challenge right now because I am currently writing my book. So my book is all about my experience with abuse, and I am trying to write it in a way that educates women. I want women to learn from my experiences. So although I'm trying to have a positive impact with my story, which is not a nice story to tell, it's also very tough for me to relive it all as I write and sort of feel all them emotions again. You know. But I know that it's for the right reasons, and yeah, it's just tough. It's just a bit tough, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and I feel you on that. I wrote my own memoir back in 2020 before the pandemic hit, and it really was my story. It was all about self-love and the journey that I had been on, and it's you feel like to some degree writing it like you're almost opening a vein and pouring yourself out onto the page. It's so raw, even writing it, I was literally like crying at points, and like you say, having to relive some of the things that I'd been through, because like you, I've been through abuse, not physical, but mental and emotional abuse. And having to remember those things that you've kind of pushed away really for your own survival. It's not easy, but then you also understand the power for other women and for yourself. Actually, it's quite healing in actually facing it and kind of being very honest and vulnerable in that space.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And actually all of my work is based on self-love, because I do think that it's something that a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah,
because
really
of our society. So yeah, self-love.
It's true. There's a wonderful quote. I don't know who said it, but they said, in a society that earns money from you hating yourself, loving yourself is a rebellious act.
Yes, I love that.
It's true. It's true. The whole society is designed to keep us feeling crap about ourselves, so we're going to spend money on making ourselves feel better.
Yeah, definitely. Ridiculous.
So it's not easy, but I know that I know intrinsically that your book is going to be a light for women who are going through abuse or have been through and are still processing and healing. And I think it's going to be something that's really feels very powerful when you talk about it. So
I hope so. I hope so.
It will. It will. I have feelings, but I'm good.
Thank you.
What do you feel misunderstand about you? And this can obviously be personal or professional, but what is it you think people see about you and they get totally the wrong end of the stick, or could cast assumptions about who they think you are?
So this one is probably quite a hard question for a lot of people, but this is really easy for me because I was diagnosed with OCD. And you know there's lots of sayings that fly around, all that's making me OCD play up and things like this, and it's something that's used so often in everyday life that actually quite often I will say it and people totally take it the wrong way, because it's not really anything to do with having a tidy house or having tidy. I mean, my hair is a mess most of the time, so it's not about being a perfectionist. It is almost completely the opposite, because there are several symptoms, and obviously it is to do with intrusive thoughts and then counteracting those intrusive thoughts with behaviors. So that's a big one. Not many people understand it.
No, I totally get that. I watched a documentary a few years ago about it, and it was talking to people that actually were dealing with it, and it was fascinating. It was really I am fascinated with mental health, and it really was an eye-opener, because I do think people have totally a misconception of what it is. I agree. You think that it's not, say clean, tidy house and going overboard in that sense, not realizing that it is a mental health problem. And like you say, it's nothing to do with being clean and tidy. That can be how it transpires for some sufferers, but that's not the root. The root is, like you say, what's happening in the brain. So I can understand that. I mean, do you get frustrated when people kind of say, oh God, I'm so OCD, like I can't stop cleaning? Does that kind of trigger you a little bit?
No, do you know, I don't. Actually, I had a CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, to treat my OCD a few years ago. And actually, my therapist said a wonderful thing. And she said that the thing is, we are all a little bit OCD. It's when it gets to the point when you can't manage that anymore.
Yeah.
And it sort of made me feel like I belong, and I'm not, some weirdo with OCD.
Yeah, I get that.
And she said some wonderful things to me, and actually I'm very accepting of people anyway. And I understand that we all have different stories. And like you, I'm fascinated with mental health, and I studied psychology, and it just fascinates me. And no, it doesn't bother me at all. I think people learn in their own time, and one day they'll go, oh, so that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's a lovely attitude to have. It's very positive, because you could very easily go into the world quite angry, I suppose, and a little bitter, resentful. But actually, I think you've got a really positive attitude, and I think if people do want to have conversations with you, I have a feeling that you'd be quite open to talking to them about it. Within reason. But I think it's not. And one of my big sayings that I really advocate is that when we own our story, we release the shame that was never ours to carry in the first place.
Yes,
and I think it'd be very easy for you to have shame around the OCD, but actually there's no need. Like, it doesn't make you, yes, it's something that not everybody deals with in the same way or has to the same level, but that doesn't mean that you're weird. It's just part of something that you deal with.
Yeah, definitely. And I have this view of human beings being a whole, and we have lots of different identities that make us up. We fit into so many different groups, and we belong to so many different people, and I think it's what makes human beings fascinating.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, if we all look the same, the world would be a very boring place, wouldn't it?
Exactly. So, how boring.
Absolutely. So next question is, what is your biggest failure today, and what did it teach you? And I always say that word with that because I don't actually believe in failure as a concept, but I think it's easiest shorthand to show what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, like you say, I don't do failures. I can't even pronounce the word failure. It's probably my dodgy Essex accent. Yeah, and I'm very careful with how I mention failing to my children also, because we learn. Things happen, we learn, we get through it, however, we problem solve, and we get there. If there was anything that I could put my finger on, it would be with my daughter. So my daughter's 13 and she has Asperger's syndrome, and I'm pretty sure you're meant to say Asperger's, but again, because of my dodgy Essex accent, it's just Asperger's and we don't go any further. So she was diagnosed a year ago, and as I said, she's 13 now, and there are some parental guilt feelings, where I think to myself, if I had learned earlier, there's so many things I could have done differently, like should I have pushed for it earlier, but as they say, girls mask, and you know, I always knew, but she's a very bright girl, and you know, it happened when it happened, and I've learned so much since. I've learned so many, you know, ways to parent in different ways, and it's just fascinating. It's fascinating.
It really is. And again, I'm with you on that. My eldest was diagnosed with autism last year, and he's 21 next month. And I had a lot of guilt that I didn't pick it up on earlier and helped him earlier. And we had a quite emotional conversation, and he said, yeah, but I didn't put two and two together either. We knew that he had anxiety, but we didn't kind of go to that space with it. But we're both learning. We're both kind of figuring it out. We're both kind of working together, and it is a journey. I mean, raising children anyway is a whole journey, right?
Isn't it just?
There's no rule book. You know, we're kind of just doing our best. And adding in any kind of neurodiversity is a challenge, but it is not necessarily it's not the end of the world. It's just like you know, the whole thing with mental health. It's just different.
It's just different, yeah.
It's just different, and we all figure it out together in the end, one way or the other.
Yes, we do.
Fingers crossed, anyway. So, going kind of forward, you know, once you leave this planet, and you know, whatever you believe in an afterlife, what is the one thing that you'd really like to be remembered for? Your contribution to this world.
So I would really, really like to be remembered for the girl who taught, I want to say the world, but you know, that might be a bit far-fetched with what goes on outside of the UK. I just want to be remembered for teaching people about abuse, teaching people about the life that women have had to live, and I just want to educate. I'm really passionate about education, and I do say quite often that I feel like, so my saying is, like, if I had had a comprehensive sex education growing up, would I have found myself in an abusive relationship? And the answer is quite possibly. I very well may have, but would I have escaped sooner? Yeah. Absolutely would have, if I had the knowledge. Like, knowledge is power. If I had that knowledge of myself and of who I was in the world, then absolutely I would have known how. I would have known sooner that it wasn't right, you know.
Absolutely. I really I really advocate you for that. I really champion you for that. And I agree with you. I think knowledge is power. And I think that, there are many people that really don't fully understand that they have choices in life. There is a lot of people that settle because they're afraid, or they don't realize that there is other options out there. And I think if we keep spreading the knowledge and spreading, that there are options, I think that we can help people. And I always say to people, because it's a big kind of dream to go, you want to help the whole world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What I will say to you on that is there is a wonderful thing called the ripple effect. And so you may not help them face to face directly, but you will help more people than you know, because if you educate and help one woman, she's then empowers and inspires, and then she'll want to help the other women around her. So actually your message goes a lot wider and bigger than you will ever know. So I guarantee you're going to help a very wide audience if you just keep talking.
Yeah.
It's definitely right. That's
just
the plan anyway.
Shouting the message. That is the plan. Yes.
Exactly. Keep shouting it loud, girl. We need you. Genuinely, we need you. So let's go back now. If you could go back to 18, 17, around that time, and talk to yourself at that point, what advice or message would you give yourself?
Okay, so when I was 18 years old, I was in this cycle of abuse. So it started when I was 17, and at that time I had the opportunity to move to Cyprus. And so what I would say is go, get on that plane and F off. But as we know, maybe I could have found myself in another tough situation in Cyprus. So it didn't happen, and here I am. I've learned lots of things, and as I said, I'm in this amazing place now where I can shout about it, because not many people can. And I'm grateful. I'm very very grateful for my life right now. Absolutely.
I mean, would you have wanted to go through what you've been through? Absolutely not. Of course not. Who would? But would you be doing the work you're doing today had you not gone through that time? And it's really hard, because you have to almost see the blessing in the challenge, which is not easy, because you don't want to be grateful that it happened to you, obviously. But I do think for me, seeing the blessings in the difficult moments in my life has helped me to kind of get my head around them. And with my healing, to understand that it's not all doom and gloom, though it led me forward to do what I do. So it's not easy, and sometimes we can go back and forth in that headspace, but I don't know, I just think it helps,
Definitely. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons that it got me through, because I am naturally, I'm very blessed that I do have that sort of silver lining view where I can see the situation for the good and the bad. And completely agree.
Absolutely. Bless you. So number 7 question, if I can speak. Who do you think today are the 3 most influential people in your life so far?
Oh, okay. So number 1 has to be my husband, because although I have mentioned abuse quite a lot and thrown that in there, I'm actually very happily married now. The story is a happy one for me, and he is wonderful, and he has shown me what it is like to have a happy, loving relationship. It sounds really cliche, but I didn't know. I'd never felt it before. So I am so grateful. I thank him every day. I thank him every day for coming into my life and making my life what it is, because he has, aside from the children, clearly been my biggest blessing. Yeah, I'm gonna cry.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, so number 2, very grateful for him. So number 2 has to be my daughter.
Of course.
The one who has Asperger's, because I have 2 daughters. The other one's just as strong-willed as the first one, and I quite often need a strong drink at the end of the day. But Bella, my eldest, who has Asperger's, she is a massive inspiration to me. Her mind is fascinating. I quite often, as I mentioned, I quite often like to take a situation and see it from another point of view. And I feel like sometimes that's really, really hard to do, especially, you know, when you're stuck in the middle of something. And quite often I will speak to Bella and I'll say, you know, like, how do you feel about this situation? Or like, what I literally just say, tell me what you think, because her mind just comes up with these fascinating, and she'll only speak a couple of words, but she thinks in such a different way. It's so fascinating to learn all about her. And quite often we'll be, you know, spending time together and she'll say something and I didn't think of it like that. And, you know, I'm very passionate about different perspectives and appreciating different people's abilities and views. I think it's just all like mind-blowing. So she's number 2.
Yes.
And then obviously I have to say me, because
I was hoping I was like that. Say you.
I'm really proud of myself. I tell you, when my book comes out and you read it, I'm so proud of the person I am now, because I was no one. I was nothing. It took me to nothing. And here I am empowering other women, and I'm teaching other women, and I have a wonderful life. And I am so blessed. I'm so grateful. Really grateful.
Absolutely. And it just warms my heart. Honestly, it just fills my heart full of love for you, because yes, your husband's obviously a very healing relationship and he's an absolute earth angel, we've gathered. And your children are the biggest blessing, both of them. And in some ways they have helped you and saved you in a certain aspect, but you're the one that's moved you forward from where you were. You've done the work. You've lifted yourself up out of that space onto this new pathway, and you should be pretty proud of yourself, because it's not easy. It's really not easy. It's really hard work, and so I'm really happy that you recognize that. And I think women especially don't know their own value and don't spend enough time thinking back about where they've come from and where they are now. And so the fact that you do, I think, is also incredibly inspirational, and hopefully everyone watching this will maybe take a moment to kind of think about where they used to be and where they are now, because I think we all should be very proud of ourselves in our own way.
Definitely. And actually, on that note, a lot of my work, because I do work with women one-to-one as well, and a lot of my work involves my story, you know, from bringing myself down from nothing, from feeling shame and feeling like I was worthless, and building myself back up again. I'm trying to give that education to other women as well, because I think it's so important to be mindful of where you are right now.
Absolutely. It's all part of that healing journey. Absolutely. I'm so happy that you do that. I think it's really, really important work.
Thank you.
So, I mean, the next question was, if you had to write a book tomorrow, what would it be about? But you are writing a book, so it's kind of the question at this point.
Yes, I am writing a book, and I'm very, very excited. Very excited.
Do you think this will be your only book then? Do you think you would like to go and write more?
I have a list. I have a list. I think a moment ago you mentioned about you know, the ripple effect, and giving women, you know, even if I just speak to one, if I pass on that knowledge to just one person, where that is going to go. And actually I feel like lots of women would benefit from having the courage to teach their children sex education. And you know, and when I say sex education, I'm not saying, you know, intercourse. What I'm saying is relationships, you know, learn self-care. I'm a massive advocate for self-pleasure, massive, because I think it's so important for a number of reasons, to learn your body, to learn who you are, to learn your likes and dislikes, and to create boundaries, limits and boundaries, that you're not letting anybody else cross, because they're there and you know you. So I really, that's on my list. I really want to go ahead and, you know, give women the power to then pass that knowledge on to their daughters. I
totally agree with you. You know, it's like, even with looking at young children, and it's understanding that their body is theirs, right? And so they don't have to allow anybody, like, go and hug
Yes.
Uncle Sam. And it's like, if they don't want to, they shouldn't be forced into doing anything that doesn't make them feel safe and comfortable.
Yes.
And a lot of children are forced into these spaces where it's teaching them that other people are more important than themselves.
Yes,
And I think
definitely.
giving children body autonomy, I think, is really important. And that thing of knowing yourself and knowing your worth and knowing that, you know, your most important relationship you'll ever have in your life is the one you have with yourself. I always say
Yes.
that to people, because other people come and go. It's the nature of it. You're stuck with you forever. Doesn't matter where you go, you take you with you. You might as well try
Yes.
and like yourself in the process.
I could not have said that better, honestly.
But it's a good message to give to, like you say, for women to pass that down to their children. And I think hopefully, I'm so with you on that. I think that hopefully the more that we're able to educate our children this way, hopefully we won't be putting people back together as they get older.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Mm, absolutely. So do you wish I'd ask you anything else in this interview? Do you wish there was another question that I touched upon and maybe I didn't get a chance or didn't think about it?
Well, I suppose I have some
On the
with
spot
lots of
question, isn't it?
information.
It's like, come on, give me that.
The questions have done a fantastic job. No, I'm releasing a women's only membership in September, which I am very, very, very proud of. It's my pride and joy. So it's going to be sort of a safe space for women to come in. There's going to be a library's worth of sex education classes. We're going to have actually, I've just confirmed all my associate coaches this week. So we have, you know, a yoga coach come in, a menopause coach coming in. We've got a gut specialist and a skincare specialist as well, which I'm very excited about. So it's just going to be a safe space for women to come and for them to fall in love with themselves.
Oh, sounds amazing. And that's being launched in September.
Yes.
Definitely keep a lookout for that, because that just sounds like so needed right now, right? So
Yeah,
that safe space, like you say, with other women. It's just like, I'm like, oh, sounds wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, definitely have to keep an eye out for that one. So I knew this would be a great conversation. Genuinely, I knew that it was going to be, you know, empowering and enlightening and inspiring, all of which was true. So if people, you know, maybe they've been triggered by this conversation, maybe they're going through their own stuff in their own life and they want to reach out to you and work with you, maybe on a one-to-one or in this wonderful new group, how can people find out about you and what you do?
So the best place is my Facebook community. So it's a free community. We're called Her Intimacy. And it's basically the start of me building the community, where all women, we're all in there to support. I put a post in there the other day about building a girl gang, and we've all decided we're now getting jackets.
Yes.
So
like
it's really,
I love it.
Yes, it's like the pink ladies. So it's really inspiring. It's really, and you know what it's doing is opening up conversations. I'm having lots of conversations with different women about different things that they weren't brave enough to speak about yet. And that is all I can ask for, that women feel like they can speak. And
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. It sounds, yeah, I'm all over that. So yeah, I will put Vicky's links down in the description of this video. So do go and check her out, because every woman watching this, I think we all need a bit of Vicky in our lives, generally.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you.
Genuinely, Vicky, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything. And you know what I mean. It's been a journey we've been on together, but we've done it. We've got through it, and we've had the most wonderful chats. And I see you. Keep being you. You really are a bright light in this world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Guys, thank you for watching this, and tune in for the next episode. Bye.